Hello, Las Vegas, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Golf at the Park, Angel Park Golf Club's weekly interview show. Want to thank you guys for watching, subscribing, and liking the videos. We really appreciate it. We're running contests for comments, so if you comment below, we're giving away free buckets of balls, free rounds of golf on the Cloud 9. So please feel free to comment what you think about the show, what you'd like to see on the show that you aren't seeing now, all that type of stuff. Before we get started, we have one of the golf fathers in today, which I'm really excited about, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about their event that's coming up in Saturday, July 8th. And it's a big event raising money for the Jeremiah Foundation. And we're going to get into it when we talk about it, but I just wanted to let you know there's probably only 15, 20 spots left. You're definitely going to want to get your tickets right away. So on that note, I want to welcome today's guest, David Nizz Kinan. And David, thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
I'm really excited about this one, and we're going to get into your story in a minute, but I want to start right off the top with our cold beverages that we have here today. David runs one of his content pieces is a Bloody Mary challenge for all of the golf courses in town. So before we get to ours, why don't you tell us a little bit about that, how you came up with that idea, how it's going, because I know it's popular.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the service industry in Las Vegas for 12 years now, and working at the pool, one of our main orders is a Bloody Mary. So I've probably served, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of Bloody Marys in my time over there. So, every time someone orders a Bloody Mary, it's how do you want it, mild, medium, or spicy? So, us and our bartenders have always been playing with ratios and mixes. And so when you come to a golf course, it's the same kind of feeling. Early morning, what's going to get you going? And for me, it's a Bloody Mary. So I thought of just kind of the idea to say, you know what, I'm going to have one at every course, and I'm going to see who's the best. I'm going to just let them go. I'm not going to, I order it Tito's spicy, and that's it, and see what they do. And
that's so fun.
Yeah, so far, I have done Angel Parks. Now, Peggy has come highly recommended, so my first Bloody Mary here wasn't made by Peggy, but Angel Park is the leader in the clubhouse with 7.8 so far.
Why don't you rate this one? Take another sip and tell us what just so a little bit of background on that. I've been following him for months, and I loved the Bloody Mary challenge idea. And then when he came out and did Angel Parks, I was a little saddened because Peggy, our morning bartender, tends to make our favorite Bloody Mary here at the course, and he had come in when she wasn't working. So when you guys were out a week ago or something, and we were talking, I told you that I had a bone to pick with you because I wanted you to have the right Bloody Mary. So on that note, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's excellent. So I look for a couple things, and it's heavy Worcestershire. I love Worcestershire. I don't like a lot of acidity, so a lot of places will you just use like lime juice concentrate, which I don't get in there, just maybe a squeeze of fresh lime, which is fine. And then the Tabasco for the spice. I don't want Cholula, I don't want Chipotle, and the worst sin is horseradish to me. I hate horseradish. All it does is clear your sinuses.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's good for like a steak sauce, not in my Bloody Mary. So the spice sits really nice. On the back of your tongue, which is good. So it's that saltiness and that spice for me that makes you want to take another sip, which, if you've had a bag of potato chips, it's that salty that, you just have to keep going. And that's really what I want for a Bloody Mary. So this is phenomenal. This is really
That's
good.
Great.
So we're going to improve on the 7.8 score here. We're going to go to an 8.4.
All right. Yeah. That's what I want to hear. 8.4. That's where
excellent.
We want to be.
That's really good.
All right. So let's start at the beginning because we need to know your golf story. I don't think golf comes into your life until your 20s.
Yep. Early 20s.
So let's start earlier because I know you grew up here in Vegas. So let's tell your your story, where you went to school, what sports you were playing. Just let's hear the David story.
Sure. So I grew up in Vegas playing baseball, which is actually how I met Gino. Gino's dad was one of my first coaches when I was 8 or 9 on travel ball. And
So you've known Gino
Yep.
since you were a child.
Yeah, I knew Gino first, kind of coming into this situation, and just kind of grew up playing baseball around Las Vegas. And it wasn't until I got into high school that I kind of, I guess, came into my own. Started growing up a little bit, and that's when I got the nickname Nizz on the baseball field as well.
All right, let's hear about that.
Yeah, so when I was 13, 14, I had an afro. So my hair has been described as the soft side of Velcro. So
I wanted an afro so bad
Yeah.
when I was growing up. That's cool,
no,
but you didn't like it?
it wasn't that. I didn't have a style really at that point. So yeah, so I just kind of let my hair do whatever it wanted. And it was my my high school baseball coach going into freshman year. He was like shell shocked when he saw me. I was this little skinny, 140-pound kid, and he's with this afro that's bigger than my body, and he's just like, "I'm gonna call you my Nizz," and that's it. And so I'm 33 now. I've had that nickname for over half my life, and for the life of me, it won't go away.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even know your real name.
Yep, that's what always happens. And I'll still be with people, and I'll say, "Hey, I'm David. Nice to meet you." And then whoever I'm with, they'll be like, "That's Nizz," and I'm like, "Thanks, appreciate it."
Yeah, that's funny. So where'd you go to school?
Yeah, so went to school over at Liberty, and played baseball throughout there, and did a year of college in Victor Valley, California as well.
Oh, so you did play college ball for a year.
Yep. I knew it was time to hang them up pretty quickly. The next level curveball will get you. So I could fake my way.
Tell me a little bit about that, because you obviously could hit and were very good locally. So tell us, explain to us a little bit about when you show up at college and it's different.
Yeah. So I did have some decent high school success. Liberty, when I went, it was, I think my year was either the first or second full 4-year graduating class. So we were still new. We didn't have a ton of talent over there or anything. So competing was definitely tough. But I was able to go to a junior college for a year, and that was a great experience, if nothing else. But yeah, you go to even a junior college, a small one. The talent pool is it's different, and all of a sudden you can't fake your way through an at bat, and
right.
And I quickly knew that would probably be the last level I'd reach there. Yeah.
Yeah. So so do you stay in school or do you come back home?
So after a year there, I came back home. Victorville, and I went out there with a few of my friends as well. So sharing an apartment at college with your Vegas friends was awesome. So after that one year,
But it probably didn't relate well to school, right?
Yeah, exactly. But after that year, we all came back, and that's actually kind of what started my transition into the service industry. So when I came back, I was 19, and I got a job over at Bellagio as a lifeguard, and that was an experience in and of itself, but that's how I transitioned over to the MGM as a cabana server that I am now.
Bellagio, well, MGM's big too, but Bellagio lifeguard at 19 was a pretty good gig.
It was great. For any parents out there watching, when you're talking about your kid going into work, and it was always, get a job at fast food, McDonald's. In Las Vegas, I definitely recommend getting your lifeguard certifications and going to the pools, because it is a great job to talk to people and network, and it can actually move you forward once you do turn 21, or if you want to get into the hospitality industry, which is so big out here. I definitely think that's a great path to take.
So how'd you end up at MGM?
So I actually wanted to do cabanas over at Bellagio, but when you turn 21 and you don't have any food and beverage experience, it's a little different clientele over there. So my manager, Ryan at the time, was awesome. He gave me a recommendation to go over to MGM just to start as a food runner, so I could kind of get my bearings. And then I got the job, obviously, and then after food running for a year, I transitioned to the cabana server team.
Awesome.
Yep.
So Are we getting close to when golf starts?
Yeah. So at this point, I've only randomly hit a few balls. Now I'm 21, 22. I've gone through high school, obviously, and college, and now kind of just looking for like something to fill my time and a hobby. And baseball to golf has seemed to be a very natural transition for a lot of people.
We talk about it a lot.
Yeah, so it was me and just a couple friends going to the driving range and Wild Horse and Boulder City Muni, Las Vegas Muni. The I guess the beginner tracks out here.
Sure.
Where
everybody
you learn,
starts. Yeah, everybody
yes.
starts there. Explain to me for you, because we hear it a lot, but I'm always interested because I'm learning new things every time I talk to somebody. So right at the beginning, I'm interested in the dichotomy between baseball, the swings, and the comparisons and what you found worked and what you found didn't. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were thinking right at the beginning of golf? Because as much as you're kind of liking being out there and doing that, there's definitely that going on in your head, right?
Sure. So as social media and the golf swing and the baseball swing, they get more dissected. So the swings seem to change so often, all the analytics come out and this and that. So when I was little and growing up playing baseball, I think it's actually a little different than what they teach now. But my baseball swing was very much a very short swing. I kind of kept my hips locked and I threw my hands. So when I started golf, one of the things they talk about is clearing your hips and trailing your hands, which was a complete
inverse.
Yeah, exactly. Feeling for me. So, you get that, the baseball slice, and it's because you're sitting there and all of a sudden your arms want to go, but you're not giving any room for them, so you have to come over the top, right? So that was one of the very first things I was like, if you don't figure this out, you're going to be a club thrower, in the next 5 minutes. So that was one thing, just going to the range, and I was telling you earlier, I'd sit there for 5 hours. I'd have YouTube videos pulled up, and I would just hit ball after ball and video myself and kind of compare my swings.
The YouTube generation is so interesting to me because, there's so much knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Who were you? Did you have favorites?
Not necessarily favorites. For me, it was always I would look at a lot of different swings and try to pick up small things in everyone's swing. If you try to, I can't mimic Tiger's swing,
right?
And you know what I mean. But it's like, I like his slight hinge, or like the Jordan Spieth does that. Like, I like that. You know what I mean? So you kind of just, for me, it was just finding either good instructional videos on, wedges and stuff like that, where your feet position should be, this and that, and just kind of picking up a little bit here and there and working on one thing at a time for me. So one thing I see a lot of golfers do too, when they're just starting, it's like, what is like everything I need to do?
Right. There's a lot to think about.
Right. And it's like, well, how about just today we work on, your left arm being straight? So I would go there for just hours and hours, and I didn't care what anything else was doing. Okay, let's get this feeling. And so, it wasn't any specific pro or teacher or anything like that. It was like, okay, what am I doing today, and does this look like a video that I can learn something from?
That's awesome. Yeah. Tell me about your boys that you're playing with back then. Do you have like a crew of guys that you're playing with? Let's shout them out. Let's talk about that.
So a big influence on me was Shane Koja. So he's actually a concierge over at Bellagio, and that's how I met him. We worked at the pool together. It's either his brother-in-law or someone was either on an amateur tour or something like that, so gave Shane like a ton of lessons, and watching him golf is like, for me at that point, was surreal.
So he was good.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I looking at? This is crazy. But Shane was one who would really be there with me at the range, and we'd, spend a lot of time there, and we became really close there. And it was someone that I felt like we were on the same wavelength as far as learning. It wasn't just going out there to just drink beers and hit balls and we'll just see what happens for a couple hours. Like, we were like together and trying to get better quickly. And then our kind of group that we played with, JP, who is a cabana host over at Bellagio. So I met him at the pool at Bellagio as well.
And bunch of pool guys. I love it.
Yep. And then our other friend, Nick Gonzalez, is JP's cousin at the pool. And then Jesus Laura is now Skylofts at MGM, or a butler. and I met him at the pool at Bellagio. So we kind of all started there together, and that's I guess we don't golf a ton now. Everyone's lives kind of take yourselves in different directions. But yeah, I look back on my early golf, and it's like those faces.
So that's what you're doing for a couple of years. One of the interesting, fun things that I'm looking forward to. So David is the second golf father that we've had on the show. Rocky was on a couple of months ago. And so we have a little bit, at least we have Rocky's story on how it all started. Why don't you tell me, you knew Gino, but how does this whole thing begin from your perspective?
Sure. So yeah, knew Gino when I was little. And I knew Nick from high school, but not the same high school. So Nick and our
Did he play ball too?
He played basketball. So and he'll tell you about this, but he went to Victorville separately from me, same college, to play basketball. So yeah, I knew Nick and our camera editor guy, Pete. They both went to Silverado and were friends of Silverado, and I knew them just from kind of friend groups and stuff like that, but didn't, it wasn't like we're hanging out, anything like that. Rocky I didn't meet until when I came back from Victorville. I got the job at Bellagio. I actually lived with Nick. So me, Nick, and a couple other guys shared a house together, and Rocky would come over because Rocky and Nick were really close.
I was going to say, Rocky tells the story about how him and Nick were boys from a long time ago, and they have a toxic relationship.
Yeah, oh my God, they are so
Tell me about that. Tell me about walking into that, because you're friends with Nick, and then Rocky comes in.
Yeah, so I've seen it from the outside, like for years now. Seeing it up close is definitely, oh man, it's like they live to push each other's buttons. It's like they wake up, how can I piss this guy off today? And it'll be one text, and all of a sudden, like the group chat, no, play me for money. And all of a sudden it's just like, okay, mute. I can't watch this anymore.
That's great. So Rocky starts coming in around the apartment.
Yep. So Rocky comes in, and then I hadn't known Kyle really. I knew who he was, but until this all started. And then Chris, same thing, our other camera guy. So Rocky is definitely the centerpiece, and him and Gino, I think, grew up together in like very close family situations. So the reason I even got involved, I didn't even know they had a YouTube channel at first. I didn't know. It was one of my friends who told me, and I was like, oh, because I had been watching like all the big channels since they started. I was a big YouTube guy, so following different like podcasts, this, that, and the other thing. And when those big names started coming out, for me it was just like I was watching all that stuff, and I was like, oh, Rocky does this. Like I'm gonna start watching Rocky's stuff. And then one of our other friends had a birthday tournament scramble round over at Rio Seco. And I was paired up with Rocky, Nick, and our other friend. And they had planned on doing the Pink Whitney Challenge here, the Cloud 9, and that night. And Kyle, I guess...
So what is this, about 4 or 5 years ago?
No. This is the last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is how I got involved with them at all. I think it was last August. So the Pink Whitney Challenge was planned for here, and Kyle had some last-minute obligations. So we're standing on the tee box, and Rocky's like, so Nizz, do you want to film tonight? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. He was like, it's a drinking challenge, so, be ready. And I was like, oh, absolutely. So we came here, and we had a blast. And, we talked the couple days after. He was like, Nizz, if you want to be a fill-in, we'd love to have you on more and stuff like that. And for me, it was a no-brainer. I loved the stuff, so I was in. And the more time has gone by, it's now we're trying to do 5 people, different challenges, which is tough as well. But yeah, that's pretty much from my perspective. It happened so fast.
Now, so I know that Rocky gets in with Joey and Bob.
Yep.
Was that since you came in, or was that before you got in?
So I think Joe's help can't be like understated, right? He did a lot to help get the channel off the ground, I think. And one thing Rocky's really good at is fostering relationships over Instagram.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. But yeah.
So I'm not sure how exactly their start happened.
So you came in post that?
Yeah, because Joe came out for some kind of cameo appearance at Bally High, so it wasn't a full video, but he did some shots, and obviously that made that specific video blow up. And yeah, I came in after that video, and it was fun to see the transition in quality since then too, because the early stuff when you're learning is definitely there's that curve. So then Joe comes on. I'm sure he gave some pointers.
And let's shout out Joey Coldcuts. I know we're just calling him Joe, but yeah, he's that important. And again, the first example of Rocky nurturing a relationship,
Yeah.
fostering it.
Yeah, and so we're real fortunate that they've become like good friends at this point. So half the conversations now, it's not even about golf. It's just what are you doing, that kind of stuff. But yeah, during the early parts, definitely important. And now since I came on too, we're definitely trying to find our way creatively. Different challenges and
Sure,
and,
you guys are finding your voice still.
yeah, exactly. It feels like we've been doing it for a long time, but it's still, we just had a 1 year anniversary. And for me, I wasn't even there at the beginning. So for me, it's like a 6 month. And,
right.
And as long as it feels, you're putting all this time in, it's still new. And, it's tough too when everyone's talking and frustration can happen on, what are we doing this day? What are we doing this day? It's like, we can slow down and just enjoy what's happening still.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And we're going to bounce around a little bit because I
Sure.
want to talk about fostering relationships and Rocky reaching out to somebody. Why don't you tell me what's
Sure.
going on tomorrow?
Yeah, so we have an awesome guest coming out, CVA Golf Carter, or as most of the internet knows him as the DOD King.
Yeah, so let's talk about him because he's brand new on the scene,
Yeah.
but he's blown up.
Yeah, fast. So he probably went from maybe 30,000 Instagram followers to 100,000 followers in the span of like weeks.
You know what? It just dawned on me. I should ask Rocky if he'd want to come in and be on the show tomorrow or the next day.
I wouldn't hurt to reach out.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
that's an interesting idea. Mm-hmm. So yeah, talk about him again.
Yeah, great kid. He's awesome. He's so funny. We're texting him and definitely trying to promote what we have going on. So he's going to be out here for Friday, Saturday. I think maybe a little bit of content on Sunday as well. I'm not sure by the time this airs if any of that stuff will be out. But definitely check out the Golf Fathers stuff. We have some interesting, awesome challenges that are going to be coming out with him, and he understands how to kind of rile up the internet.
He sure does.
Yeah, which is something you definitely
need. And his bits are short. I love that his content is almost less than a minute most of the time.
Yeah. So one thing, if you look at YouTube analytics, the attention span of people who watch the videos, the short clips definitely kind of move the needle a little bit. So Carter, I know, is definitely he's breaking into YouTube now. I think he has 5,000 or so subscribers, but he just posted a video with Grant Horvat, so a huge name in golf YouTube. So I'm sure his YouTube numbers will be going up, but he's definitely more Instagram focused, but I think now trying to branch out more into the other social media platforms for sure.
Okay, so before we get into July 8th here, I want to talk about you came in 6 months ago, but you've also gotten to do a lot of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Waste management, and we've heard Rocky's perspective. Why don't you tell me about your guys's, what are some of your favorite content pieces, places you've been, stories, and we can just kind of ramble off freeform, but
yeah, sure.
Tell me.
So waste management, that trip in and of itself, it wasn't even focused around waste management. We went for the Bob Does Sports tournament, which was amazing. And then we filmed with Dodgers pitcher Ryan Pepio, who is an awesome guy. Like, as a baseball fan, to meet
that had
these
to be
guys,
neat.
Yeah, it's awesome. And there's been some great talent that's come out of Vegas. So, the Harpers and Bryant.
Votto.
Yeah. So Vegas baseball has been great. To golf with one of those guys is awesome. And he was an awesome guy. So that whole trip, man, it happened so fast. That's one that I could definitely relive a couple times. Because Scottsdale golf is, it's
fun.
Top notch.
Yeah, and you guys went to Papago.
Yeah, went to Papago. Went to, obviously, waste management was amazing. Seeing the pros hit it is obviously different too, and, the drinking atmosphere. But, as far as the challenges with the guys, for me, I love the golf. it doesn't matter. We could be doing a challenge. The cameras could be off. So I've really enjoyed like getting to know all these guys a lot better than I did, and just enjoy hitting the ball around with them. It's a good time. And
How competitive are you with them?
I would say Rocky and Nick are the most competitive, just as like competitive in nature. I don't care so much until I like lose a couple. If I'm playing Rocky and he beats me twice in a row, then
you're upset.
The third time I'm gonna say, okay, like we need to get after it. Nick went on a run last year. He beat me like 5 times in a row, and that drove me nuts. But there was nothing I could do because he went on this run with his putter. He was making everything. So I would sit there and I'd like laugh. It was crazy stuff. But I'm not like far and away better than any of them or anything.
Well, let's talk about that. So what's
Yeah.
your handicap roughly?
I'm about an 8.5. My miss is usually I'm not a great iron player, so I don't hit a ton of greens, but I can kind of usually up and down or up and 2-putt, and usually I can stay out of trouble there. But it's the long irons, like 4, 5, and 6s, 200 yards or so, that really get me in trouble.
Those are hard to hit.
Yeah, it's actually something I think Rocky's pretty decent at. So
yeah, I think he said his favorite club in his bag was like a 1 or a 2 iron.
His 2 iron, he's like, it's sick. But Nick's more consistent. He keeps his drives in the middle of the fairway, even though they don't go as long. But it doesn't have to.
Right.
So there's definitely times like they'll beat me and stuff like that. If you gave us 100 games, I'd say I'd beat Rocky 70 of them. I'd say I'd beat Nick 85 of them. And Gino, I love you. I'd beat you every time.
Gino's kind of the punching bag, right?
I love Gino. But so the thing about Gino's game is when I started, he couldn't hit the ball. And I was like, oh, okay, like he's obvious, he's the entertainer, right?
Right.
He could not hit the ball. And they're telling me, no, Gino, like when we started, Gino was good. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
How did it fall apart?
Yeah, I'm like, there's the shanks, sure, but like he can't hit the ball.
Is it the cameras?
No, because they started with the cameras.
Yeah.
So I was really confused, but now I've seen him like put together some rounds and some shots. I'm like, holy! And every time on camera,
a lot of his content pieces lately are him rolling in 25 footers.
Yeah, his putter. He has this ungodly confidence with the putter. But yeah, it's fun to watch. He's a riot on the course. If you ever see Gino out there, ask him to play around. He'll make you laugh if nothing else. He's a riot.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, bouncing around, you were wearing a Sunday Swagger hat. I know that they're very important to you guys.
Yeah.
So let's highlight them. Tell us about your version of your relationship with them.
Sure. And again, a lot of the stuff was already in the fold when I came along. Sunday Swagger, they're awesome. Ethan, our connect over there, our guy over there, we've met him now a bunch of times. Just they're so high class, so stand up. Rocky went over and met them at their corporate office over there in California. They really do a ton for us as far as merch and giveaway stuff for tournaments and getting us new product. For us, they're really a title sponsor. Without them, a lot of this doesn't happen. As far as when you're looking at sponsorships and trying to make money doing this, they're the main ones that can keep us going. They pay for our camera guy to film and edit. So without that all comes out of pocket. And now, when you're talking about that coming out of pocket, that's time and energy and money. And now you're working your regular job to pay for, a hobby that you're hoping pans out. So they give us a lot of freedom to be able to continue doing what we're doing and continue to try to keep getting better at it and learn and grow for sure.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And that rolls us back into July 8th. So why don't you tell us about what we're doing here in a couple of weeks?
Sure. So awesome tournament planned. Like Jed said in the beginning, get signed up quick. We're going to be flooding the feeds with posts about all the details here in the next 1 or 2 weeks. We're we're supporting the Jeremiah Foundation, and
Tell us a little bit about them.
so I actually haven't looked into all the details. There's been a lot of moving parts, especially with Carter coming in, and I talked to you earlier. I leave tomorrow for my honeymoon. So
it's not just a little honeymoon. Why don't you talk about that really quick?
Yeah, so I head out tomorrow with my amazing wife Dana to Barcelona and Positano, Italy for a couple weeks. So I'm going to be MIA for a little bit. So I'm so excited, and Dana's great. I couldn't do this without her. She really gave me the green light. She said, "This is the time to do it. You have to go all in. So make sure you're contributing, and you guys are posting. You guys need to, just get your name out there." So without her giving me the full green light, it's not even possible for me to even join in the first place. So love you, Dana, and we'll be in Italy here soon.
Shout out Dana, the real star of the show.
Yeah. Going back to the tournament, so I don't want to misspeak on anything about the Jeremiah Foundation. I'll let the boys do the talking on all that. The tournament coming up, it's definitely more of a party atmosphere.
Sure.
It's called Vegas Nights, and
I think Gino described it as EDC last week.
Yeah, we definitely have big plans for it for sure. It's as much of a tournament. It is. It won't be so. We're gonna have all the closest to the pins. It's at the Cloud9 course, so a lot of fun giveaways and merch stuff and all that. We're reaching out to our main sponsors to try to get all the details hammered in. But yeah, something about Las Vegas, summertime, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. when the sun's down and it's still 90 degrees, but you have a cold beer. There is nothing like it.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, really excited to bring the party out here.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you like golf now? Do you follow the tour? Do you have favorite players?
Yeah.
Talk about how you absorb golf content.
Sure. I'm very much one of those people who on Thursday I put on TV whichever tournament is on. So I've been following golf since I started playing. You get that bug quick, especially for me. Spending those countless hours. So yeah, you always want to watch the best do it at the highest level. So I definitely have favorite players. I was introduced to Ricky Fowler really early on, and I loved his style and what he brought to the game, especially in regards to young people. And I loved his kind of friendship with Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth and even Smiley Kaufman. They were hanging out. They did that
golf boys.
Yeah, they did that spring break trip in the Bahamas or something, and they're out there shirtless in their flip flops and jumping into the lakes. And I was like, that looks awesome. So I instantly gravitated to that kind of modern golf mindset, that it's not such a country club feel all the time, and you can have fun, and it's for everyone. So
yeah.
I loved that immediately, and I kind of clung to that. So I always love seeing the young guys do good. There's definitely that passing of the torch mentality.
Yep.
Now with that rival tour Live, that brings a new dynamic, and I don't, I'm not one to say, oh, you should have done this.
No, it's a tricky subject, right?
Because everyone's doing what's best for them and their family. So I love the new kind of created, manufactured animosity between the two tours. And if it's these guys are going to be allowed to play in the majors, I think it just gives a new layer towards an already exciting
I agree.
sport for
and
me.
Anything that can push the game to evolve,
Yeah.
I like,
Yeah.
because that can only create more accessibility.
Yeah.
Tell us about your set. Tell us about your clubs.
Sure.
And how are you a golf club nut?
So this is actually a crazy sore subject for me. I hate talking about my golf clubs.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry.
No.
I can't wait to put you on the spot.
And actually, Angel Park is part of the story. And it's nothing that Angel Park did or didn't do,
Great.
but this is just how the story went. So I had a set that I just loved. It was M6 irons I had, and I loved hitting them. They just felt so good for me. I had it was the TaylorMade R15 driver, I think. and I just had it spec'd perfectly for my swing. And it was one of those, I know exactly what I'm doing with my driver. I had my Scotty Cameron putter that my wife got me for one of my birthday. My bag was set up. I had ball markers from awesome places. And I came here to play a night round with one of my buddies. And then we went to a bar, Steiner's over on Las Vegas Boulevard afterward.
I know it well.
And my truck is literally parked right outside the bar. And I'm sitting there, and someone comes over to me. They're like, "Hey, is that your truck outside?" And I knew immediately what happened.
Someone stole your clubs.
Someone smashed my back window and yanked my clubs out in like 20 seconds. And I was devastated. I was like, I'm going to quit golf. Like, I was so sad. And it wasn't about, the bag being expensive. It was just like, it's like,
no, that was
you got something that you love just ripped out from you. So I actually had I have a close friend, Kenny, who had an extra set that it's a set of Mizuno. It's a great set. Mizuno's Titleist TS driver, Odyssey putter. He really, Bettinardi wedges, really set me up and gave me a sweetheart friendship deal on it. So this is now 2 years ago, and the clubs are great clubs. They just still don't feel like mine.
Don't feel like yours.
Yeah, and this year on my to-do list is to go back and have a new fitting and get something that, that I go to the store and get myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, last year, me and the wife, we got married in Cabo. So leading up to that year, it's every dollar we get's going towards the wedding, right? And this year, it's now the honeymoon, right? So after the honeymoon, it's now I can
start funneling some extra money into golf.
Put my piggy bank to good use.
That's
over there.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, this question is sometimes a little difficult. What's your least favorite thing about golf, or what are some things that you might change?
Okay, so
if you could.
Yeah. My least favorite thing about golf is it actually works into one of my favorite things about golf, and it's something new. Since I'm very much as a golf is for everyone guy, I want everyone to go play. I think it's amazing. I think it does wonders for mental health. Going out and playing a golf round by yourself with no music is so relaxing, even if you're not good at it. I think it's just amazing to be outside, be with nature.
It is.
So I think it's great. Now, with that, since COVID happened, everyone is golfing, right? So now you have courses doing 7-minute tee times, and so a round is no longer 4 hours. It's 5 sometimes, maybe even 5.5, especially on Saturday, Sunday.
Bullet point for Angel Park. Just patting ourselves on the back. We're still 10-minute tee times, and we're still coming in around 4.5 hours.
Oh,
so we're focused on that, but it is a problem.
Well, the thing about Angel Park too, you have with 2 18s and the 9, it gives a lot of versatility over here, and the courses every time it's great. Mountain is challenging in a way. Palm is challenging in its own way, but I love Palm as more of a scorer friendly course. So there's definitely a lot of options over here, which I love. But yeah, you'll go around the city and it's these 7-minute tee times, and now a course that used to cost $40 or $50
and now everything's gone up.
It's $90, $100, and I'm like, I learned how to play over here, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And I remember paying $20 for a twilight round at 4:00, and now it's like minimum $50. And I'm like, what? No one's out here.
Right.
So it's definitely something that's frustrating, especially for new golfers and people who are in a time crunch. So now instead of trying to squeeze 18, it's like, I can play 9, or you'll see people leave the course after like 13 holes, something like that, just because they're at their 4-hour mark or whatever. So it definitely can get frustrating.
That's awesome. Thank you, David, for coming in.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the first segment. And now we're at the segment of our show that all of you know very well. We call it our Par 5. We ask the same 5 questions to every guest. All of the answers are different and interesting and fun. So are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's rip it.
All right. Awesome. Question number 1, what's your favorite golf movie?
Favorite golf movie is definitely Caddyshack, and I'm going to tell you guys it's not close. I know the other golf movies.
Love that.
Yeah, the other golf movies, they're good, and I get Happy Gilmore. I get it all. Caddyshack is legendary. Legendary.
Are you more of a Ty Webb guy or Carl the the maintenance guy.
Oh, Carl's amazing. Oh, they're amazing. But I mean, it's for me when I think about the movie, it's just Rodney Dangerfield. It's just his face is just implanted in my brain.
I love that.
He's a riot.
This hat's terrible. You get a free bowl of soup with that hat, and he turns around. Looks good on you, though.
Oh, it's so good.
I love that. Question number 2. What's your favorite club in your bag and why?
Favorite club in the bag, 54-degree wedge.
So many wedges.
There's so many. For me, it's a safety net. You look down, and at any club, you look down, it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing, even if it doesn't work out.
Right.
For me, around the green, 50 yards in, I use the 54. I don't even play. I don't have a 60 in my bag. 58, and it's touchy I use it for certain shots, but I like to manipulate the 54 to whatever I need.
Do you feel comfortable with that on Cloud 9? You must love that on a short course.
Yeah, so my 54, a full swing maxes out at like 105. That's on a full swing. So I usually use on the Cloud 9 like 90% gap wedges for most of those like 110-yard shots or so. Yeah.
Fun. Question number 3, my favorite question. What's your dream foursome? If you could pick any 3 people alive or dead to play golf with, who would you pick and where would you play?
Dream foursome. First, where we're playing is Pebble Beach.
I love you starting with where we're playing. That's great.
Yeah, Pebble Beach. That's and we try to get out there, me and my little brother. So that's on our bucket list. We're gonna get out there soon. But and going into that dream foursome, my little brother. He's my best friend. He's awesome. Rob.
Does he play?
He plays sparingly. So he lives in New Orleans right now. So he's actually coming out for a couple weeks. I'm going to bring him out to our tournament out here. So he's my little brother in my dream foursome for sure. And then Ricky Fowler, favorite golfer, and then John Daly, favorite party golfer.
We've gotten Ricky and Daly.
Yeah, those are
before.
those have
sounds
to be
like
in
a
there.
fun round.
Yeah, those have to be in there.
I mean, that would be a fun round. That's great. Question number 4, which we may have already addressed a little bit, but what's your aiming fluid on the golf course? What are you drinking?
Okay, so it definitely depends on the weather. Bloody Marys are almost like a sure thing in the morning. To
start?
Yep, and then the transition goes to either. There's always like a couple beers in the just to sip on, but if it's cold, usually Jameson, and if like we're getting into summertime, it's going to be a lot of tequila.
Yeah,
tequila for sure.
I love all of those answers and remember all of those very well.
Yeah.
Question number 5 is where we may no longer be PG rated. Want to thank David. We didn't have any profanity. We were talking about that this morning. I love the guests who speak in their own voice, so I have no problem with those episodes. I've pushed hard for them to stay the way they are. But it's fun to do the clean ones because then we know it's accessible to everybody.
Sure.
That being said, what's your word or phrase when you talked about earlier that you had to learn from the baseball swing, so you weren't a club thrower. You knew that right away, right?
Yeah.
So you've managed to curb that, but everybody gets angry on the golf course or frustrated with themselves. Do you have a word or phrase that you use more than others?
So there's obviously the profanity laden tirades can come out, if you're not careful, but more than any other word, I think when I miss a putt or you leave one of those birdie or eagle putts short, something like that, coward is the first word that comes out of my mouth.
You coward.
You coward. You like it's so degrading, it like cuts you down.
It is. It's not profanity, but it's piercing,
you
right?
Coward, what are you, you scared, just
And that's beating yourself up. I mean, that's pretty negative.
Yeah, it stings. It stings different than it's when your dad says he's not mad, he's just disappointed. Coward stings different.
Do any of the guys call you a coward? Do they use that against you?
No, because no one's ever gonna call someone else
right. It doesn't get that mean.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. The chirping towards someone else is more like getting in your head kind of stuff. So if you just berate
real quick
them
before we leave, talk about the chirping. Let me know about those guys and who chirps more and what the phrases or the words are that get under the skins.
Sure. So Nick chirps the most at the beginning to try to get in Rocky's head, and then Rocky starts chirping once he's down one. He won't say a thing, or what he says if he's up one is, yeah, oh, how do you like, you know what I mean? It's just more talking up his game.
One of my favorite content pieces that Rocky put out was him and Gino riding in a cart, and it was on a match, and they just, I think, won the hole. And Rocky says, and you know that we pierced his heart. He's so frustrated. He's going crazy right now. Mm-hmm. And then Nick reposted it, and he goes, I was fine.
Yeah, so it's so, their dynamic is so unique because it's constant mind games. So there will be times where me and Nick will be in the cart, and he's talking to me. He's like, I'm going to look mad so Rocky thinks he's getting under my skin. And then
he's got a game plan.
Then he's going to kind of release his shoulders. Then we're going to hit a good shot, and then he's not going to know it. So it's complete mental mind games, manipulation, just trying to get the slightest edge over the other person's hilarious.
Well, I really love you guys, and I'm excited to have the other guys on. I really appreciate it, David. Thank you so much. Enjoy your honeymoon, man.
Thank you.
That's going to be really neat, and we've got all this fun stuff coming up with them. So please check out the Golf Fathers, their YouTube channel. They're on TikTok. They've got everything going, and it's fun. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Until next time, hit them straight from your friends at Angel Park. Cheers.
Beautiful. That was awesome.
So much fun.